look at that, Richie. The sun is just coming up. It's early morning. Yeah. Good morning. Nice sunrise, eh, buddy? That's a nice morning. Yeah, you hear the city just starting to wake up, eh? Still pretty quiet. But yeah, good morning, guys. It is October 9th, and it's early morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. And today is actually my middle son Justin's birthday. So I wanted to say a very happy birthday to him. I know. And he and my oldest son Brendan are actually up adventuring in Iceland right now. That's cool. So I hope you guys are enjoying yourself, having a great time up in Iceland. And I look forward to talking to you again when you're back. But meantime, yeah, Justin, happy birthday, Justin, from me and little Richie and everybody here on SSL. You don't get up to see the sun come up very often, do you? You like to sleep in like mommy. Yeah, and speaking of which, everybody else is still asleep, including mommy, because she likes to get her morning rest when this guy's usually sleeping. But today you got up early with me and we come out to watch the sun come up. That's a nice sunrise.
Yeah.
Lots of color. You're gonna see the sun come up above the clouds soon. Never seen him with this much energy so early in the morning before. Kind of cute, eh, buddy? I hear the bird. Yep, there he goes. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, it's a bit early to be starting something like this. I'm sure we don't look even woken up yet, but today I've got something really cool to discuss with you guys, because I'm going to start our new Game Changer series, because there is a series of products that I have been fortunate enough to be given the privilege to test, with the idea of reviewing and telling you guys what I think of them, and which ones, of course, are going to make the biggest difference in our world. But as you know, a lot of the companies I've been dealing with are the manufacturers of some of these game-changing products that are going to change our lives when it comes to off-grid storage systems for alternative lifestyle living, like on a boat, RV, mini campers, tiny homes, anything like that. So what today's focus is going to be is the primary component in those systems, which is battery storage. Because now there is a lot of companies fighting for this headspace in battery storage that are actually making a huge difference. And some of them are using very top quality components at prices that are going to make them game changers for a lot of us. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Somebody's excited. Now, when it comes to building an off-grid energy storage and management system, the most important factor is, of course, the storage, being the batteries. Now, in this particular case, I'm not talking about the backup energy systems that we use, like the power stations and the solar generators. Today, we're talking about integrated systems, ones built right into your application. Now, for years, I've been testing everything from drop-ins to rack-mount batteries. This is how you put a 200-pound battery into a big cabinet. You need a little guy. Now, can you get back out?
Here, amigo.
Success! Alright! Alvaro, you're the man! Llamo, gracias! Now,
now the fun begins.
But I think what you know I've been using and testing for the last 3 years has been predominantly Battleborn batteries. They have been regarded as the best in the industry pretty much since inception, and I've had various types of their batteries installed for about 3 years now. But of course, being the Mercedes of batteries, they carry a price accordingly. And this is what most of you have been saying to me over the years in the comments. Great batteries, wish we could afford them. Well, now I'm changing the focus to find alternative batteries that offer similar functionality but at a price that the masses can afford. Now there are lots of new manufacturers competing for this space, and I've been researching trying to figure out what might be the best one to bring on board first to test. Because first of all, I wanted something that would improve the system that I've already got, allow great functionality, dependability, and fit in the spaces that I have on the boat. That can be a tall order because not all batteries are the same. Now, when I'm deciding if I want to bring a new product on board for testing, of course, I like to do a lot of my own research first. And my top 2 sources for information on products like this would be HOBOTECH and Prowse, both on YouTube. If you're familiar with HOBOTECH, you know he does a complete diagnostic and forensic analysis on every single product he reviews. With Prowse, he'll actually destroy the system, take it completely apart to show you what's inside, whether the components are any good, and if it's built to last or not. And then of course both will offer detailed summaries of all their findings at the end of the video.
So what do I think about the REDODO? I think no matter how you pronounce this product, the REDODO 200 amp hour plus is a bang-on deal if you need a high output battery that won't actually break the bank. There's a lot of 200 amp hour lithium batteries out there, but not so many with a high powered 200 amp BMS, even less with a 5-year warranty, and very few at this price point. It makes this a best bang for the buck deal, especially if you need the higher output.
For the price, this is pretty good, and you can connect these in series up to 48 volts. So you could actually have a serious size system with these. And something else to notice is that all of these packs, including the 50 amp hour one that we tested a long time ago, have consistent build quality. Sometimes with cheaper batteries, they throw whatever they can in there at the cheapest price possible. But no matter when I buy these, whether it was 6 months ago, 3 months ago, or right now, they look the same. You're getting the same stuff every single time. Not long ago, we were doing battery teardowns for $700 packs, almost double the cost of this one, and the build quality was atrocious. The fact that they're actually doing this at this price point is just remarkable. I mean, this really opens up lithium iron phosphate for a lot of people.
If you haven't heard of them but you're interested in this kind of stuff, just search HOBOTECH and Prowse Solar, both on YouTube, and be sure and tell them Captain Rick says hi.
Necessity.
Somebody went back to sleep. I figured that might happen if he got up that early in the morning. He burned out fast.
I'm reading comments and making sure we stay engaged. Vegetable soup, YouTube comments, necessities.
Yeah, I figured little Richie might not last too long when he got up at 6 o'clock in the morning with me to hang out on the bow. It was fun, but yeah, he crashed hard really fast. But now it's time to get back to our batteries and our installation, which you remember are under here. Safely in the bilge, their own little corner, and right in the center of the boat, which is perfect. So this is one of the things I really like about this particular size of battery is the case size fits exactly underneath our floor. Because what I want to do with our future bank of batteries is I want to have everything below the floor instead of in these compartments on the sides of the boat. Because right now we're carrying all of our weight from the batteries on the side of the boat. But if I can put 2 or 3 of these batteries here and I can fit another 2 or 3 here, I can have a 30 kilowatt hour system right here under the floor, right in the center line of the boat and right over the keel. That's the perfect placement for them, and they're certified waterproof, which is very important because if the bilge ever does get wet or anything, you don't want the batteries to be affected. Now you can see we've got 2 of these batteries in here, and these are the 24 volt REDODOs, or actually the 25.6 volts, and I've got them in series. You can see with that loop right there. So this series loop puts this one in series with that one and creates a 48 volt battery, or in this case 51.2 volts. So I'm just going to show that that's what we're hooked up to here. I'll turn on my gauge, set it for DC, And let's see, I'll go from the negative to the positive. And you can see we're at 52.7 volts. Now this is important because my whole system is 48 volt system, so I need to have these hooked up in series in order to work with my system. Now under this seat, as you can see, this used to be my old battery box, so this is where the original boat batteries used to reside. And now they've all been removed and I've got it replaced by this one big battery, which is the propulsion, as you can see from the front here. Now beside that is all my power switches, which are right here, and these are the battery selectors because I've got 3 battery banks in the boat. So the 3 battery banks consist of the REDODO batteries under the floor, the propulsion in here, and the battle-borne batteries in this cabinet right here. And these 3 switches here will allow me to turn on or off whatever bank I want so that I can test just one bank at a time, basically. So in instances like that, I'll isolate that particular battery bank, we'll top it right up to full, and I'll use one of these chargers to do that. This is a 48 volt charger right there. That's a 12 volt for topping up regular 12 volt, but this is actually a lithium 48 volt battery charger right there. You can see it's rated up to 58.4 volts. That's how I test my batteries, one bank at a time. We just turn off these switches until I've got the one bank isolated that I want to test. We charge that bank up to full. We use the Victron multimeter right here, or the Victron battery monitor, and we reset it to the capacity of the exact bank that we're going to discharge, and then start discharging it. So I'll turn on the air conditioner, I'll turn on the fridge and freezer and some fans or whatever else I want, and just run a high wattage discharge right down to as close to 0 as we can get. Now this is the voltage chart for my batteries, and you can see a fully charged battery should be anywhere between 53.6 to 54.4. Now the bank we're testing right now is the REDODOs in series at 51.2 volts with a 200 amp hour capacity total. Now you can see on this first screenshot that I've drawn them down almost 100 amp hours, they're at 49%, and the voltage is still way up at 52.18 volts even with a 660 watt load on just the 2 REDODO batteries. Now if we were doing this with a standard lead acid set of batteries, these would already be dead. Because even if you have a 100 amp hour lead acid battery, it's only good to 50% of its capacity before it drops below its minimum voltage. And once that happens, all of your stuff starts turning off. Inverters, fridges, freezers, everything will hit low voltage and stop working. This is the biggest advantage with lithium, is we don't suffer this voltage depreciation as the battery depletes in capacity. You can take this battery down almost virtually to 0 before it will actually shut off. You can see by this latest test result that I ran them all the way down to 2% and they were still at 46.35 volts even with a small load. That's amazing because when you go back to the voltage chart, you can see that anywhere around 46 volts is still actually around 5% theoretical capacity available. So we cycle it on a daily basis, but then once every 2 or 3 weeks I bring it right up to full, charge it up, make sure it's topped up, balanced, and then do a discharge test. And I've been very impressed with the results we've been getting so far. It's been right in line with the manufacturer's specifications. And if you're wondering why this looks a bit of a mess, well, it's because I've got 3 different battery banks, but I haven't decided what batteries I want to use for the whole house system yet. Once I decide on the exact batteries that I want to use, we'll replace all 3 banks, and then I will just put in one set of master switches that will actually be installed in the boat, instead of just hooked up randomly like this. You like how that mirror just keeps getting cleaner and cleaner with every shot we do? Makeup!
Got the orange effect.
Uh-huh.
Still gorgeous.
Yeah, it's covered in wax. It's all wax from Richie's crayons. He's already discovered how to color the walls. He likes the mirrors though. But the long and the short of it is, the batteries have actually performed exactly according to manufacturer's specifications. I am not disappointed whatsoever, and even after 3 months of constant use, they have not changed their parameters whatsoever. They still test just as good as the first time I tested them. Are you finished yet?
It just smears, dude.
It's wax.
Try not to smear it, but it just keeps smearing.
It's just wax, I know.
All right, Richie, you win, buddy.
Probably need gasoline or something. For measuring my system, I'm still using the Victron Energy BMV712 because it does the job perfectly. I've never had any issues. and it seems to be very, very accurate. So that is the 712, and I use that for monitoring exactly how many amp hours we've drawn out of each battery and what the voltage is as it goes. It also reports back on our new Servo GX system with the touchscreen, so we can flip back and forth between all different kinds of screens here, but overall it tells me the percentage and the actual voltage. And you can see even right now at 50%, we're still at 52.6 volts. Whereas if you were using a normal lead acid battery and we were down to 50%, we'd already be below 48 volts, which is basically dead.
Can you say REDODO? Can you say REDODO? Say REDODO. Are you still thinking about it? Okay. Oh no. We'll try again next time.
Now, I think you get the idea that I actually do really like these batteries so far. I've been using them for 3 months every single day, and they've done exactly what I hoped they would do, and with greater results than I actually expected. The only thing I wish REDODO would offer is this exact same battery size in the 48 volt 100 amp hour instead of the 25 volt 200 amp hour. Now, I know some of the other manufacturers actually have the 48 volt version available, but REDODO has chosen for some reason not to make that version, and I'm not sure why. I do hope they change their mind in the near future, because that is what I would really like to put in here. That would be the perfect solution, is all 48 volts, so I don't have to do the series and parallel circuits. Not that that's a big deal. I mean, it's fine in series, they work perfectly well together, but it would just be one less circuit to have to maintain and keep the voltages balanced between the series batteries, that's all. Now, I have to admit, actually being fairly impressed with these new batteries, and the reason I say that is after doing over 3 months worth of testing, I've actually found them to have almost exactly the same comparable specifications and performance as the batteries that I've been using that are 2 to 3 times the price. And that's a major statement, because lithium just came out about 5 years ago, and that was when it became available to the public. Now, it was still expensive, but there were still some people using it. Now, I've been using it about 3, maybe almost 4 years now, but when it first came out, you're looking at around $800 to $1,000 per kilowatt hour of LiFePO4 batteries, or lithium iron phosphate. Now the price has come down to $250 to $300 per kilowatt hour, and that makes it much more affordable to the masses dramatically. I mean, but there are still companies charging the same old prices, $700 to $800 maybe per kilowatt hour, but still way up there in the range. And I don't understand that, because the difference is negligible in the actual performance of the batteries, unless for some reason they outlive them by 2 to 1 or something. But I just don't see that happening, because all the lithium is coming out of the same factories, and the performance is exactly the same for the first couple of years that they've been testing. So I don't think that argument holds true. I don't know. But these systems seem to have a life expectancy through the industry of about 8 to 10 years minimum, and that's based on a constant discharge every day for 3,000 to 3,500 cycles. And that doesn't mean that the battery is going to be dead. It just means that after the first 3,500 cycles up and down, it's going to be reduced to about 80% of its capacity when it was brand new. So, you know, that's a factor, but it's not even a major factor, because all of us, including me, I don't discharge them every single day, not down to 0. If you discharge it right down to, say, 20% and back up again, then yeah, you're looking at a lifespan of maybe 10 years. But I can tell you that all of my batteries together only get cycled about twice per week. Now that means theoretically I could have a lifespan of maybe 15 to 20 years. It's possible, although I don't really see it mattering much, because I think that this technology is probably going to change a lot again in the next 5 years. I don't know what's coming. Nobody saw this coming 5 years ago, that we'd have so much usable capacity with less than half the weight of the standard batteries, you know?
You can bet on it changing.
Yeah, I think so, but who knows what it's going to be.
So, what can you tell us about your experience with the batteries that you used to use?
Well, lithium compared to what we used to use, when I got Sophisticated Lady, she had 8D batteries on hers, and they were, at that time, they were just lead acid, but eventually you upgrade to AGM. That was the natural progression, because they had better capacity and better life expectancy. But they still could only be discharged about 50%. But 8D batteries, even the good ones from companies like Lifeline, that's what we used to use a lot. And if you look at them even in today's world, they're still charging about almost $1,000 per battery. But those batteries are 160 pounds each. They're a huge weight for
what is rated at 250 amp hours at 12 volts. So a normal 12 volt battery, that's what we're talking about here, because that's still kind of the industry standard, even though we're getting into more 24 and 48 volt options. But the 12 volt batteries that Lifeline was putting out have an operational capacity of 250 amp hours, or a rating, but again, it's still only 50% of that in usable capacity. So 250 amp hours at 12 volts is about 3 kilowatt hours, okay? So those batteries have 3 kilowatt hours, but you can only use 50% of it. It means you only get 1.5 kilowatt hours of actual usable capacity. These batteries we just put in, this is the difference. These batteries are virtually the same case size as 1AD, although they're actually almost 1.5 inches smaller this way, but the dimensions this way and this way are almost identical. But the weight is half, because the Lifelines are 162 pounds, 160 pounds. These ones are 80 pounds. The Lifelines, or the 8Ds, are 3 kilowatts total. These ones are 5 kilowatts total, just over. They're 5.1 kilowatts. Now that's a huge difference. I mean, the power to weight ratio, the power density is a huge factor. And of course, the amount of space taken up by the batteries itself will justify how much power you can keep on your boat. So the more compact they are and the higher energy density you have in them, the better. But safety becomes a concern also. This is why people aren't using lithium ion like they can in cars. Cars has a much higher density of power to weight, so the batteries are much lighter and have a lot more power, but they're also flammable. If they run out of control and they have a burn off, then yeah, you're screwed. You can't get away from it. It's just going to keep burning until it's done. And you don't want that on a boat. So that's why on the boats in the marine sector, they've pretty much fully adopted this LifePo4 technology, which is lithium iron phosphate, and it does not burn. It's not nearly as dangerous as what you would have with the lithium ion. Even a lead acid battery is dangerous because it can create toxic gases in the boat if it boils off. Any battery has its risks, but LifePo4 is the minimum of everything that we've seen so far. It's the most expensive, but now that cost is coming down and making it less prohibitive to your average user. That's a huge difference. That's what I'm seeing as the major change in what's happening with battery technology right now.
So, Captain, tell us, how much power do you have now, and what would you expect out of the new system once you replace it with the next optimization?
Well, right now I've got about 28 kilowatt hours between the 3 different banks, almost 30, but my goal is to have somewhere between 30 and 40 eventually. But it's a matter of price and space. We only have so much space. Like this seat that we're sitting on right now, this is where the original batteries used to be housed. And they had 3 of the 8D batteries in there. Now those batteries were 160 pounds each. Okay, and that's 3 batteries, 3 kilowatts each, and 480 pounds. So a 9 kilowatt hour total for the whole bank, 480 pounds. Now, if we look at what's available, not only has the price come down, but the weight is coming down as well. And that's a big factor when you're in an RV or a boat or anything like that. Okay, in a tiny home, it doesn't matter, it's sitting on the ground. But when you're mobile, every bit of weight matters to you. So the weight of these systems, that 5 kilowatt hour battery that we just put in the floor, each one of them is 80 pounds. So 2 of them is 160 pounds, which is the same weight as 1 of the 8D batteries. But now we have 10 kilowatt hours of usable capacity versus 3 kilowatt hours in 1 of the other batteries. And plus you can only use 50% of that capacity. So you got 10 kilowatt hours versus 1.5 of actual usable capacity. That's a huge difference. I mean, come on. I don't know how anybody couldn't get that.
Enough to change your mind.
Yeah, it used to not change everybody's mind because the price of this was this and the price of the lithium was still way up here. So like, yeah, well, it's not affordable.
Right.
But now they're coming down and now they're more like this, but you've got a 10-year lifespan over here and a max 5-year lifespan over here. So for my next system, I'd probably have 6 of these batteries, the new ones that we just put in, and they're 80 pounds each. So 6 times 8 is 460 pounds, or 480 pounds, sorry. But that's the exact same weight as what 3 of the 8Ds were.
Right.
But now instead of just 3 kilowatts per battery and instead of 9 kilowatts total, I have 30 kilowatt hours total usable capacity. And that's how come we can run air conditioning, freezers from houses and refrigeration systems from houses and all this stuff. All of our fans now are 120 volt, not 12 volt. I run everything off the inverter because the inverter runs 24 hours a day.
That's strong.
This is a big difference because now we can run our boats like a house. And that's what most people have been asking for a long, long time.
Yep.
They want to bring their comforts with them. They like to live on the boat. Maybe it's just for weekends, maybe it's transiting, maybe it's holidays, 6 months on, 6 months off, something like that. But the more you can bring your comforts of home with you, well, guys, we're used to camping. We don't mind it, but women don't like to camp so much.
Yeah.
Most that I've met. And when they get on boats, they're not really happy so much.
Yeah. And it's not so much of a convenience then, it's more of a requirement if you expect everyone to be happy.
Well, exactly, and that's been my goal for years now, is to show people that this is not a roughing it environment, or does not need to be a rough it environment anymore. It doesn't have to be like camping. We have fridges, freezers, we have a home-sized laundry machine, we have an electric galley, you know, 3 burners of induction burners with an electric convection oven, microwave oven, Instapot. We have everything, all the luxuries of home now, and it runs almost 100% efficiently because electrics are very efficient. They used to be my worst enemy when we ran everything off the engine, because any bit of electricity used came from the batteries, and any bit of electricity in the batteries came from the engine. Because back then we didn't have solar. Solar was off the map expensive.
Right.
I had 2 panels on the boat back then, and they were 125 watts each, and they were $10 per watt. So back then, panels were $1,000 each. Now, 100-watt solar panels like 80 bucks. You know, that's another major change in the industry in the amount of time I've been paying attention that I've been down here.
So if I hear you right, conservation is still important and you're still watching it, but the total consideration is easier to make the decision on because you have less coming in.
Well, yeah, you live here. You know that we don't just waste stuff, but we do try and push the limits of what's possible. We do what we want to be comfortable. We use what we need. Sometimes we use a bit more than we need. If we're too hot, we turn on the air conditioning. Then we have to make up that power with the engine again, but that's by necessity or our own desire. It's not because we can't live without it, okay? We have enough solar now. Now I've got 3.2 kilowatt hours on, or sorry, now I've got 3.2 kilowatts of solar panels on the back, and that's huge.
Right.
That's enough to run the whole boat efficiently and effectively, 100%, as long as the sun is shining for, you know, most of the day. But over and above that, we just replace it with the engine as our backup. But again, that's another major change I've seen just in the time I've been sailing on this boat down in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm. Always excited to learn more from you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, no worries. And the other thing I was going to say, I'm particularly impressed with REDODO is the fact that their documentation, their support documentation, is actually legible. It's readable, it's understandable. They've got great documentation, how to understand how to hook everything up, how it works. They've even got beginner's guides, everything, and it's in 100% plain English. It's not translated Chinese, and I've dealt with so many of these companies. I can't tell you how annoying it is to try and even me open up their product manual and decipher it and go, what the heck do they mean? That's like the wrong words all over the place, and it just doesn't make any sense. But these are perfect. I've read them because I want to know what you guys are going to be receiving, and I'm actually happy to say that they're starting to make this change in the industry, which is a very good change. Good on you, REDODO. But anyway, I think that pretty much sums it up. I'm very happy with the batteries. Would I invest in them myself? I probably will. I plan to. I'm going to do a bit more research before I make the next decision, because once I make the next decision, I want that to be ultimately what I'm going to maintain on the boat for the next probably 3 to 4 years. I anticipate there's going to be another change in the industry in the next 4 or 5 years. So I want something that's going to last that amount of time without having to continually change it. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you learned something, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and tell your friends. That's all we can ask for. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.
Ciao.
Over and out.